Welcome to Inverkeithing High School Maths Department. Today we're going to be looking at rounding with decimals or rounding to the nearest whole number. Before we start, I would like to expand the number or everything in our number line that lies between 2 and 3. Now hopefully from looking at our ruler, we should know that the number that's right in the middle of 2 and 3 is our 2.5. And that is because it signifies having 5/10. Okay? We can see that from my number line as there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jumps between the number 2 and 3. And because it's in our decimal system, it's looking at having it as a base 10. So the gaps or the jumps between the number 2 and 3 are 10. If this is 2.5 then, we would know that this must be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 and 2.9. Now we not normally see this as a number line, but in our rulers that's what the tiny little lines signify, is our tenths, or in the case of measurements, our millimetres. So in between the number 2 and 3 are all of these numbers here. And even between the number 2.1 and 2.2, we can break that down into tenths and hundredths and continue on forever and ever. However, we don't need to worry too much about that because we just need this basic understanding in order for us to round to the nearest whole number. Now the way that I do that is by using an empty number line. Now here I've filled in my number line just to start with the first two examples, but I'll be continuing on with our empty number line for the last 3. So I'm looking at rounding 2.3 to the nearest whole number. Well, what I know is the number 2.3 lies somewhere between 2 and 2.5. In fact, I can see from this number line, it is here. This is our 2.3. Now, how do I find out which is the whole number that it's nearest to? Well, here I can see there's 1, 2, 3 jumps to the whole number of 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps to the whole number of 3. So 2.3, roughly rounded to the nearest whole number, is 2. 2.67, well, what I know about the number 2.67 is it lies somewhere between 2.6 and 2.7. And for this example, it doesn't matter because we're rounding to the nearest whole number if it's closer to 2.7 or 2.6. But in fact, it is slightly closer to 2.7. Now, in this case, I'm looking at which whole number is it closest to. Well, it's going to be closest to the whole number of 3 because it's bigger than our 2.5. So it means this gap here is going to be less than this gap here. Or in terms of jumps, it's only 1, 2, 3 and a bit jumps to the 3, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a bit jumps to the whole number of 2. So 2.67 is roughly our whole number of 3. Now that principle can be used for any other number when we look at rounding to whole numbers, as long as we set up our straightforward empty number line. So first I'm going to think about the rounding 3.1 to the nearest whole numbers. Well, when I was dealing with 2.67 and 2.3, it was between the whole numbers of 2 and 3. But when I think about the number 3.1, it doesn't lie between 2 and 3. It in fact lies between the whole numbers of 3 and 4. Smack bang in the middle of 3 and 4 is our 3.5. So when I'm looking at placing 3.1, well, with reference to this, I know that 0.1 is quite close to the start or the first tenth in that section, so it's going to lie somewhere like there. When I'm looking at it, it's lying in our bottom half, which means that it's closer to our whole number of 3. So 3.1 is approximately 3, because it's closer, there's less of a gap to travel to the whole number of 3 than there is to travel to the whole number of 4. What about our number 156.9? Well, what we need to do is we need to figure out what 156.9, what two whole numbers it lies between. Well, the first one we can just take from the number itself, our 156, and if I count on one more from that, that's going to be our 157. And right in the middle of our 156 and our 157 is our 156.5. We have the number 156.9, however. Well, 0.9 is bigger than our 0.5, so it lies somewhere in this section here. We're not really need to place it too accurately, but we know it's bigger than our 156.5. So if it's bigger than our 156.5, the nearest whole number that it is closest to is our 157, because the gap towards our 157 is smaller than the gap towards our 156. Lastly then, when we think about 34.062, wow, this has so many decimal places, but the principle that we still use is the same. So we have our 34, taking the number as our first whole number, counting on 1, gives us our 35. Halfway, smack bang in the middle there of 34 and 35 is going to be our 34.5. Now where's this number, 34.062? Well, if it's a 0.0, it's going to lie in here. It means it's got no tenths. So it doesn't have even 1/10 yet, which means it's going to be really close to this 34. As it has 0/10, it's lying in the bottom section of between our 34 and our 34.5. So again, looking at this number then, we can say that 34.062 is approximately 34, rounded to the nearest whole number.